Hi, Bill Peters here, retired apparatus chief of the Jersey City Fire Department. Today we're going to talk about a subject that's pretty near and dear to my heart, and that is the clean cab concept. I hate to say it, but a year ago I lost my brother, who was a career firefighter as well, to bladder cancer. So cancer in the fire service is prevalent. And we feel that a lot of that has to do with contamination that the firefighters are bringing. So inherently, firefighting is a dirty job. We all know that. There are some steps that we can take to help reduce the risk of bringing those the deadly carcinogens from the products of combustion into the cab of the fire truck. First of all, depending on the weather, if you fought a fire where your gear is contaminated, it can be deconned outside the rig, washed off, cleaned, so forth, before you get back into the rig. Now, coming from the Northeast, I know that in the winter, this is not possible. That, in cold weather, you can't possibly have a guy out in the street and hose him down and have him running around without his gear on. So if you do have to get into the cab with dirty equipment, then it becomes the duty of the chauffeur or whoever's taking care of the rig to do a thorough cleaning of the cab once it's back in the station, which can be done. Secondly is your SCBAs. The same thing is true there. They can be deconned, they can be hosed off and be made ready for service before they're put back into the cab. The third thing is there are a number of manufacturing things that go into making the rig that can help keep the cab clean. First of all, if you're doing specs on the rig, you may want to consider that all the interior surfaces be impervious. Some of the things that they're doing is going back to non-slip diamond plate for the cab floors, which are easier to hose out than rubber mats. All of the manufacturers of seats for fire apparatus make seats that are impervious, or at least that seats that can be cleaned after a fire. We went from vinyl seats that were easily cleaned but ripped easily to like ballistic seats that didn't rip, and they stood up to the punishment of the fire service but absorbed some of those carcinogenic materials. So now all the manufacturers have seats that are suitable to use. Third is the SCBAs. If you can't decon it at the scene, one manufacturer suggests put it in a plastic bag, put it back in the seat, and when you return to quarters, decon the SCBA. And many other fire departments are moving the SCBA out of the cab, putting it back into high side compartments so that they don't come in contact with the interior of the cab at all. And finally, there are some departments who are opting for clean cab compartments, where on the outside the compartment, the firefighter's gear and SCBA are stored. So the firefighter steps out of the cab, puts on his gear and SCBA before he goes to work. In some areas, in urban areas, this might not be a very usable decision because of the time it takes to get suited up outside the cab. But you may want to respond with your gear on and then put the dirty gear in that outside compartment for transport back to the station. Once again, depending on the weather. And that's today's roll call tips. Thank you.